Hello guys, it is Hartwigga here today. We are back for episode 3 of the F1 show. Today I'm joined by George. George, how are you?
Hello. Hello, good morning. How are you?
I'm I'm still a bit stunned, honestly. If I'm being honest, still stunned after the Grand Prix.
Spectacular.
Yeah, what a Grand Prix it was, honestly. I mean, for the first 20 laps I was like, oh yeah, McLaren on for a good podium. That's all I was
Yeah.
thinking of, and then I think we all know the rest of it. Um, yeah, what a race.
Yeah, just the safety car with Magnussen close the pit lane, and then Lewis Hamilton gets a 10-second stop go penalty, and then the crash of Charles Leclerc red flags the whole race, and then by this point the grid's all mixed up, and Hamilton's at the back, and yeah, what a race we got.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's quite stunning. I reckon we'll go through the teams first. We'll start at the bottom. Williams. Obviously,
Yeah.
if you haven't heard the news by now, after this Grand Prix, it was said that the Williams family will step down from the Williams team and I guess let Dalton Capital really get into full effect and have a rebuild. And it's quite sad. I mean, Claire's got a lot of criticism over the years, and I mean, and Sir Frank he's just a legend, and I mean, it's so sad to see them go from Formula One. But at least the Williams name will be we carried on. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, apart from that, the race didn't go too well for them. I mean, Latifi only got one place off. He's in 11th, I think, in the end, and George is down there somewhere.
P14. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's very sad to see the actual Williams family team become not a family team anymore. It was a final family-run team that was still in F1, and
yeah,
it's just sad that now the family are stepping away after so long. But if you have to, you have to think of it, this is really going to help them restructure and just enable them to actually be able to come with a fight back through the field with their new owners and be more financially backed. This is going to really help them moving
well,
into 2021,
F1's
2022 and
F1's
all
so much
that.
more expensive than 20 years ago when Williams were dominating the sport. So
Yeah,
it's a different era, and I think unfortunately the best for Williams was to get a massive investor like Dalton Capital.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean the car's taking steps forwards, but results didn't weren't really there from today. It just shows the car
No, it was
lacks,
unfortunate.
especially behind other cars. It just really lacks. It's really draggy, and behind other cars, it does not fare too well.
Yeah, you could see Hamilton overtaking Latifi
Mm.
and Russell as well, and down the straight, and he would just gain on them so much, and you could just see how draggy that car is.
Yeah, I mean, what's next? Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, a strange. It was first of all probably a shame that Giovinazzi came in to the pits while it was closed,
Yeah.
so that gave him a 10-second stop go penalty. Likewise with Hamilton, and
Mm.
Raikkonen seemed to be in a really good position at the restart, but just fell down the order.
I mean, again, they did the car. I mean, it was above the Ferraris. Kimi was again. Um, take it as you want, but yeah, I mean, they didn't really look anywhere near the pace of even the top 10 runners at all for the weekend, and uh, there was hope there that Kimi could get some points, but
Yeah,
in the end, I think 13th was a realistic result for them.
I I was thinking while he was in like P3, surely he could manage to get at least a P8 here, but no, nowhere near.
Yeah,
I think it's sad to see.
and for
But
Gio, yeah, like you said, unfortunate penalty. I mean, just after one on the ball game there. Yeah, I don't think there's
yeah,
not much else to say.
So now let's move on to Haas.
Yeah, we go. They're actually better than expected for me. I thought they were gonna be like basically last, but they weren't. Grosjean was pretty close to getting out of Q1, and K-Mag did. Yeah,
Yeah.
they actually did. They're probably the third slowest team. I think they're in front of Alfa Romeo and Williams. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah. I just think
they could have probably fought
so.
with
I think
Ferrari
obviously,
more. I think they're probably just a tenth behind Ferrari overall.
yeah. It's just so complicated with these Ferrari power cars. How they just seem to be so far apart last year, and this time they're all just near the back in terms of pace, really.
Well, the Haas car looks pretty. It looks like a good chassis it's got underneath it, but I mean, I think with Mercedes engine, for example, I think they'd be fighting for points, and I think drivers like Grosjean and Magnussen to really high. I think they're pretty high caliber drivers. Podiums for each of them. I think they
Yeah,
could be fighting for points at really decent drivers. So it's unfortunate with the engine situation for them, but I mean, positive step forward. I think for them being the third slowest team.
yeah, for sure.
Who is next? Who is next? I want to save a couple teams, three teams in particular for last. We'll go for Racing Point.
Yeah, so I think Sergio Perez obviously did not have the race that his teammate had.
No, definitely didn't. He didn't even look well. In qualifying, he had the pace, but in the race, he was kind of there, but he never couldn't even catch up to the Lando Norris, who didn't. He wasn't as fast as Carlos all weekend, so
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, we all thought they were gonna be. I reckon a lot of people would have thought they'd been the second most best car. Last weekend it was Belgium, and then coming to this weekend, people would have thought that too. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, based off last year's Mercedes, maybe that car isn't as good compared to this year's cars. I mean, obviously, teams are developing now, and whereas Racing Point aren't as much. So yeah, I mean, they also got some
yeah,
solid points.
yeah. I think at the first half of the year they looked really, really competent, especially in qualifying.
Mm,
But the race just never really came to them, really.
yeah,
Like I just thought like we'd see them in constant P5, P6s, even ahead of the Red Bulls at some point. I was thinking, but
like races like
no,
Monza.
it just hasn't materialised for them. And yet they have developed their car a lot. It has become a lot of better car than last year. I just don't think they've really developed it to be a race spec car.
Yeah,
Possibly it just lacks. It lacks the ability to fight with other cars, maybe.
yeah,
And while they've got the one lap pace following Dirty Air, it makes it really hard. It's a little bit like possibly it's possibly a little bit like the Williams. So over one lap pace, they're not actually that bad. But then over the course of the race, they would seem to George Russell, Nicholas Latifi, that they might lose positions at the start and not be able to recover for them and have a lonely race.
yeah. But they're doing better than previous years before, so can't fault them too much.
Definitely.
Probably Renault next. I thought they were going to be faster, honestly. I really did think they were going to be a lot faster. And,
Yeah,
looking at the pace
yeah,
from last weekend, I was like, this should be a track. I did predict Ricciardo for a podium, and at one stage that was still in the cards till the red flag, and it was kind of like, nah, he's too far behind now. He got stuck behind Bottas, and then he was in front of him, and he's behind him, and he never really could make up the places, and Ocon was in the lower points. So pretty
yeah,
mediocre. I think they had probably a bit higher expectations for themselves, and I think many people had better things for them. But in the end. I think there's a few other teams that did better.
So I think, yeah, Renault, again, just really not the result everyone was thinking. And it just makes you think, is Ricciardo going to get this podium this year? And will Cyril Abiteboul get a tattoo to mark Daniel Ricciardo's podium at Renault this season? I just think this was their best chance to do it. Daniel Ricciardo knew this was his best chance to do it. And it just hasn't happened for them at all.
Well, they were pretty quick on the straights. I think they were the fastest on the straights there. So
Yeah, they look quick.
I mean, this probably was his last chance to get a Renault podium, as it is turning to Alpine F1 team next season. If you haven't heard that is some pretty big news. I didn't see anything like that coming. I saw it, I was like, wait, what is this? And then some Alpine.
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
I'll take
righto.
Alpine team.
So I think it's more like a French livery next year, the red, white, and blue.
So Alonso and Ocon in the Alpine team next year. I think that's a fairly strong lineup. So we've got a huge experience from a two-time world champion, Fernando Alonso, and quite a lot more inexperienced Esteban Ocon. But we've seen how Esteban Ocon is a very, very fast driver. And I think this year he's taken this year to get back behind the ropes of Formula One, because obviously he's missed it for 1 year. It's obviously not going to help as a driver. So I think he's had to have a year or at least a few races to really get back behind what it feels like to be a full-time Formula One driver.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting in that for 2022, where they are. That will probably be their make it or break it season, to whether they want to stay for another 5 years after they finish this Concord agreement out. Yeah. I mean, I have faith that they can keep going. I said that in 2018 as well, and look what happened to them in 2019. They were nowhere. But
they were nowhere.
I think, I have faith, and we'll see how they go. But next team are surprisingly as quick as they were. I did not expect it at all. McLaren.
Yeah, so for McLaren, I think they looked amazing. In qualifying, Carlos Sainz finished P3. Lando Norris, who I don't think was actually all that happy with his lap,
P6.
qualified P6.
Yeah.
But still, it's a good job by Lando, and for him to feel disappointed with the lap he did, I think that they could have. They were really fast.
Yeah, and then Sainz got the jump on Bottas at the start, and Lando went to P3, and it was like, okay, double McLaren podium on the cards here, Lando's holding him, and Valtteri, he couldn't get past. So it was looking good until the safety car come out for them, and people that pit beforehand actually got the benefit. I mean, I've never seen that in F1. Getting disadvantaged by a safety car, it's such a rare thing. So McLaren, they got a bit screwed over by that, but nevertheless they come back.
I think they did.
And to see a midfield driver get disheartened by finishing P2 is again another weird thing in itself. But I was rooting for Sainz all the way through to get that win, because
to be honest, any of them I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have.
Because if Red Bull do decide to give AlphaTauri an equal car to Red Bull next year, then there's chances that AlphaTauri drivers can fight for wins, but Sainz is going to Ferrari, and they're in a state of crisis. So, yeah, I mean, I was happy for Pierre, but I would love Sainz too. He raced so well, and so
he did.
Lando did as well, considering as well. So second and fourth, that's the best finish in Monza for McLaren since 2011, and the first time they've got second, I think, since 2014.
Yeah. And I just think for Carlos Sainz, was this a missed opportunity to get a win? Because we all know Ferrari's performance at the moment. Are they going to be able to fight for wins even in 3 years' time? We don't know, do we?
No.
Obviously, there's huge regulation changes coming in 2022, but
we'd expect Ferrari to bounce back in that one. With the money.
Yeah, but we would expect Ferrari to bounce back. Yeah, they've got huge experience. but I think Carlos Sainz just saw this as a missed opportunity to get to get a win with the team which really gave his career a kickstart. Because obviously we saw him before in previous years just signing single year deals with Toro Rosso and Renault. Didn't get promoted to the Red Bull Racing senior team. So I think he'd had his time with the Red Bull Junior Academy. He saw other opportunities, so he gambled it on McLaren. That was a very good outcome for him. And I think at the time of signing for Ferrari, it seemed like a really good deal, but it hasn't turned out to be as of yet, as of at the moment. But he would have really wanted that win.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for the red flag, I reckon he probably would have won that. But also, you said that it's not a great move to Ferrari. You might have seen that, but who knows? In 2022, we could see Carlos Sainz world champion.
Exactly, we could do. It just seems like at the moment it may not always be. At the moment, it might not always look like a great career move.
Well, that's the same with Hamilton Mercedes. No one thought that was going to be a good career move, but I mean, look at him now. Look where he is. But
you just can't judge.
Yeah, we'll go on. I think to Mercedes. Valtteri had a very awkward race. Just didn't get a good start at all, and it showed the one flaw in the Mercedes car is being able to follow. Not good at all, is it? I think nearly every lap, the Valtteri is just getting out of slipstream because of the cooling in the car, and even when Lewis obviously got a 10-second stop-go penalty, if you didn't know, for coming in to the pit lane when it was closed. He come back through and he was blistering pace. He hadn't cleaned out, but as soon as he hit the traffic, he found it a bit easier to overtake, considering they were really not the greatest cars. But as soon as he got to that mid-pack, he struggled to overtake. So the Mercedes looks like they have a flaw, but it doesn't get exploited enough because no one's there to compete. So
I just think Hamilton did a great job to fight through the field again after a stop-go penalty. But I think at the start, Bottas just seemed so vulnerable to the cars behind him. He was left victim to a fantastic move on the outside of the Della Rosa chicane by Lando Norris.
Yeah.
Just Lando Norris absolutely did a fantastic overtake there. It was so close to contact, and it just shows how brave Lando Norris is, but also shows just how vulnerable Bottas was after starting in P2, managed to drop to P6.
I think Mercedes are one of the slowest in the speed trap, if not the slowest. I think I don't know if they were the slowest, but they were very slow in the speed trap, purely because their downforce was so much more supreme than the rest, and it wasn't like they were that much slower. They're just that slow enough, to not maybe make a couple moves. On example, the Renault, who Valtteri stuck behind Daniel for like the first 20 laps, and considering that's one of the worst cars in the speed trap, one of the best cars in the speed trap, it doesn't help at all.
Yeah, it doesn't, no.
But they had a pretty lackluster race apart from Hamilton's penalty. Bottas was nowhere, and Hamilton, if he didn't get that penalty, it would have been a pretty easy win.
Yeah, it would have been another win for Hamilton, I reckon. We could just see how much of a good start he had, breaking away by, was it at least 6 seconds in the first 15 laps, was it? Something like that.
Yeah.
Incredible pace.
On to the second last team to preview. The team who had the worst weekend I think I've seen this year. Ferrari.
Yeah.
Not much to say. Really not much. Seb obviously had a re-brake failure. And Charles, he had a pretty nasty incident. One that caused the red flag to come out. Nasty shunt on the exit of the Parabolica. I mean, apart from that, they were nowhere in this race. Like, Charles getting done by an Alpha. Seb couldn't compete at all. Like, the car was just not there.
Yeah, of course. So I think it's just a weekend that went from bad to worse for Ferrari.
I
It
think
just ended their hopes of of securing any kind of result after all that drama that happened.
there's
And it's just
a quote from Seb about how bad the Grand Prix was. I'll see if I can pull it up. But I think it was about how lucky Ferrari were that there was no fans there.
yeah,
That just
yeah. I think at this point
shows.
Seb's just wanting to end his chats with Ferrari as soon as he can, really.
Oh, I mean, they're in they're in crisis. There's no other word. They are in. And then with the chairman to say that he's put full faith in Bonotto, I was not surprised, but I was questioning it. Like, are you just saying this for the media or what? But apparently he does, and I mean, who knows? 2022 could be something big for Ferrari. I mean, this happens to every. I think this happens to like every good team. McLaren happens to. It's happened to Williams. It's gonna happen to Ferrari.
Yeah,
So yeah, they're going through a slump at the moment. It's just how they get out of it's the question.
yeah. It's just how they can recover from it, really.
I hope they don't chew up science. If they're not good in 2022 either, I hope they don't chew up science like he's done something wrong like McLaren did with Perez 2013 because there's no need. It's only internal fault. So we'll see how that goes for Ferrari. And out the last team, I'll say it's the best one for last. The Italian team of Scuderia AlphaTauri. Man, what? Sorry for that accent. What a race. Obviously, their
I know.
first win coming here in the Toro Rosso, courtesy of
It's
Sebastian
2008.
Vettel.
Won at Monza in 2008, so the same circuit, 12 years ago. Sebastian Vettel won the same Grand Prix as
Yeah,
Pierre Gasly. But man, am I happy for Pierre Gasly.
and both their first wins.
Yeah,
I mean, after getting kicked out of Red Bull, I mean, what a storyline it is for Pierre Gasly, you know? Getting kicked out of Red Bull, you know, going back to the second team. Is his career over? He's going to move. I mean, what's the point of moving when he actually has a pretty good car? I mean, unless he gets if you get offered from a McLaren or a Renault, I might take that if I was Pierre. But any other team, I think AlphaTauri is probably the next best team to go with.
yeah,
Unless it's a top drive or a McLaren Renault drive, there's no other point. So I think
yeah.
I'll see him staying for 2021. I don't think he's going to go anywhere. I think that really
No, I don't think so either.
that lightens up a lot. I think he knows that car can compete. Well, it wasn't it wasn't a dog of a car, you know. I mean, the McLaren was faster. We saw with science just on that rapid pace, but Kvyat wasn't quite on Pierre's pace, and Pierre was strong. You know, he was probably gonna get a good bag of points. You know, P7ish before this all happened. So
Yeah, but I've just spotted something. I've just spotted with the senior Rebel Racing team. It's almost as if the job of the second driver is almost impossible if you're not Max Verstappen.
yeah, it does seem that way, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, Albon. We didn't do Red Bull anyway. Albon. He probably couldn't do what Pierre did today in the Toro Rosso, AlphaTauri. So I mean, it's still speechless. You know, it's the first time since 2012. Sometime in 2012 where it has not been a top 3 car on the podium, and the first time since 2013, Kimi Räikkönen Australia, when a top team hasn't won it. So what a race! What a race! Honestly, the last, this is kind of the second race. It was spectacular, and Pierre deserves that win full-heartedly. And
He definitely does.
Fantastic job.
Especially, I think we have to remember the tragedy of Antoine Hubert.
Yeah,
one of his great friends. There was something going around on social media where saying that when Pierre Gasly got demoted from Red Bull, well, I don't want to say demoted, but put down from the senior team to the AlphaTauri, Antoine Hubert texted him, prove them wrong.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what he did. on Sunday, and it's just a shame that Antoine Hubert couldn't have witnessed it himself. Two great friends.
And then the senior team, they doubled in there, Red Bull. Verstappen wasn't really anywhere. Albon had, I think he actually made contact with Gasly, funnily enough, and had
He did in the first
underlying
quarter, yeah.
floor damage. So
Yeah.
he lingered back home. But I mean, is Albon under threat? Is Gasly now in the box seat to take it, or?
From everything I've heard at Red Bull, they have been there for Albon. I think they're backing Albon. He's not got an easy job. He's probably got one of the hardest jobs on the F1 grid against Max Verstappen. And I think Albon's done a good job. It seems a bit like what we would have seen from Pierre Gasly, but I don't know. Maybe they're backing Albon because they know what he can do, and it's just like he needs to get a really good qualifying out of trouble in the race. And but Pierre Gasly, I want to see him have another chance in the Red Bull. I want to see what he can do. We know he is a fantastic driver, and I just wanted to see what he can do in the Red Bull again.
I don't think I wanted to go to Red Bull again. I think that car is so much different to the AlphaTauri that it's built around Verstappen, and I think Pierre, and what's happening right now to Albon, and what happened to him the first time, it could happen to him again. I mean, something might have clicked like that. I mean, I just feel like that car's so suited Verstappen, it'd be difficult for most drivers to.
Yeah, it has been a difficult car to drive, and especially when it's just built around Verstappen, then you're the second driver, expected to qualify within sort of 3/10 of him. It's just impossible, isn't it?
It is.
For the other driver, possibly demotivating, because of course Gasly must have had a massive confidence boost coming out of the Red Bull team, but then jumped straight into the AlphaTauri. It's a lovely car to drive. May not be as competitive as Red Bull all the time, but we just see that how much of an amazing driver he is, and he was consistent, out-qualifying his teammate Danny Fiat, who is also another great driver who has had a spell at Red Bull, got 2 podium finishes with the team, before getting put down to AlphaTauri. But another story is Danny Fiat.
Yeah. So that's the roundup of all the teams. Is there any news stories we can cover? I don't think there's actually too many. I think everyone's been so hyped up with the results.
I think Lance Stroll might have seen it as a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Because at the restart of the red flag, he did make a big mistake going straight on at the second chicane. I just think that if he didn't make that mistake, he could have got more in terms of Gasly and Sainz and possibly have won the race. It'd give him a bigger chance of winning the race, or maybe at least getting second place. Just a little mistake from Stroll, put him in P6 or something. Could only recover to third. Of course, that's a fantastic drive, but I think maybe you could have seen it as a bit of a missed opportunity.
Well, I think next should be our Mugello race predictions. Now, a little preview into Mugello. It is the Ferrari test track. It's going to be Ferrari's 1,000th race in Formula 1. Never been raced on the calendar before. It isn't big on overtaking, I'm fairly sure. Is that right? I don't think it's big on overtaking.
I'm not really sure. I don't even know the circuit layout.
I'll get that up right now. Mugello circuit map. I mean, considering it's a test circuit, I don't. Here it is. Well, there's a fairly big straight, I think. Yeah, there's a fairly big straight.
I'll be good for slipstreaming.
Yeah, I mean, apart from that though, it's a lot of corners. Built obviously for the purpose of being a test track. I mean, it shouldn't be too bad though for racing. There's some opportunities there. I expect the top guys to do well.
Yeah.
I don't expect Ferrari. I don't think Ferrari are going to do too well at all. I mean, the track is actually it's got a lot of corners, but it's got a lot of acceleration zones.
Yeah, it's not going to look suited for them. But maybe this is their test track. Maybe they can bring back some specs that suit them. Maybe they can do some setup changes that they know.
I was going to say they know this track well, but I don't know. I just don't know about that car.
The car just doesn't look to be there for them. Any of the circuits this year has not been there at all.
It hasn't. Let's get into our predictions then, I guess. Yeah. So, who is the driver that needs to perform for you?
For me, the driver that needs to perform, I just think Bottas is the one.
I was going to say the same,
He has got his future secured for another year at Mercedes. But I just think if he actually wants to be taken seriously about winning the title, I know Bottas has got what it takes to win the title. He works incredibly hard. But I just think if anyone is serious about Bottas winning the title, he needs to fully beat Hamilton this weekend.
Yeah, just
it'd be good for him.
Get that confidence back. Like I said, I was going to say Bottas as well. I think he's a driver that needs to really, if he gets the win, then that's performing. Beats Hamilton, that's performing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's not. I don't think he's in the championship fight. I think Hamilton's got. Unless Hamilton DNFs from this race and Bottas gets the win, or Bottas gets a massive amount of points until he happens to Hamilton. That's the only way, really. But other than that, I think Hamilton might just not easily. It's not going to be 100 points. I reckon just comfortably, with a nice cushion, win the championship. So yeah, I do hope for Bottas' sake that he can perform, and I think this is the race he has to. And I think I think he might. Let's get into our full-on predictions now. Let's go with pole position and then top 5.
Obviously, with the little experience F1 has had at Mugello, well, I think I'm just thinking it'll be Hamilton for pole again, or maybe Bottas, because I think from what I've heard, they're only getting an hour and a half practice session.
They are, yes, they are.
So I think this is gonna separate some drivers from the others, because some drivers are going to want to have normal practice. Some other drivers might be more happy about it. It will show us how quickly these drivers can learn a circuit, because it doesn't take 10 minutes to learn a circuit. It takes so long to fully become happy with the circuit, happy with the setup of the car, and yeah. So I'm just gonna put my money on either of the Mercedes. I think maybe even Verstappen.
What about the race top 5 and driver of the day?
So I'm just gonna say top 5. I think it's just gonna be 2 Mercedes, 1 and 2, and then I'm just gonna call it Verstappen P3. It's hard to predict these things because you never know. But I'm just gonna say Verstappen will be inside the top 3. Yeah, I think it'll be a good weekend for him. And then I'm going to say maybe I want to say Albon is going to finish behind Verstappen. I want to say Albon is going to perform in this race. So I'm going to say Albon to finish P4, and I really hope that he has. I know he's got what it takes. He just needs the car underneath him. And he doesn't feel as if the car's underneath him at the moment because it's built for Verstappen. It's a hard car to drive. But yeah, I just think Albon is going to have a good weekend this week, and 5th could go to possibly Sainz or Norris.
Driver of the day?
What happens to the race. Yeah. Driver of the day. I don't know. Could be anyone. Could be someone who starts near the back, has a good recovery, finishes in the points maybe. It really depends. But I want to see Alfa Romeo get some points this time out.
Pole position. Lewis Hamilton. I think, like you said, that experience is that championship material stuff. I think he will secure a pole. But I think in the race, it'll be a different story. I think that just that determination. He's under pressure, like we said. I think he will convert this into a win. This might be just some hopeful thinking as well. But Valtteri Bottas to win. Lewis Hamilton to come second. I'm going to go bold.
Yeah.
I think the McLarens can challenge with a couple long straights here. I reckon they can challenge. I reckon Carlos Sainz is going to get another podium. P3.
Wow.
I reckon that'll be the first time in, when? I don't know, since 2013 days, since consecutive podiums for McLaren. P4 is going to be Verstappen. P5, I'm going to go Daniel Ricciardo.
Okay, that's pretty bold, but yeah, anything could happen.
I think Daniel's is going to be, psychologically on another level. I think he wants to, after that kind of disappointing Monza weekend, to really make up for it. Driver of the day for me, Sebastian Vettel.
Sebastian Vettel.
He's obviously been on this track quite a few times. Obviously his Ferrari test track. He's driven the track probably more than anyone else on the whole grid. So he knows the lines, knows all the stuff like that. I think in some fighting spirit, I reckon he'll get the car up into some points, low points, but
I really hope he does do that, and I think Ferrari are a team who needs to perform this weekend.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it'll be good for them.
The whole team Ferrari need to perform. I reckon Sebastian, driver of the day.
Yeah, I want to say Sebastian as well. He deserves a good weekend.
He does.
It could be one of his last good weekends in his Ferrari and possibly his whole career. But who knows what his future lies in F1.
I mean, only time will tell, guys. We will see you next week for episode 4 of the Mugello review. Hopefully we get a couple of our predictions right, and let's hope for another bonkers race like Italy, Monza I should say was. Let's hope for another one like that. But I'm Hartwigga, that's George. This has been the F1 show. We'll see you next time, guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.